as the territory held by the Islamic State in Syria continues to shrink. It's this problem of so-called jihadi brides wanting to return to the West that is continuing to rise. Here in the UK, it's the case of Shamima Begum that is dominating headlines. Last night, the UK government revoked her citizenship. Her family say they're very disappointed at the news and will consider all legal options now. The teenager says she wants to return home to London for the sake of her newborn son. Later here on GMT, we're going to look at this global issue of these brides who want to return home. But for now, Keith Doyle has the latest on the story of Shamima Begum.
Shamima Begum says she wants to come back to Britain with her newborn baby. That now looks unlikely anytime soon after her family received a letter from the Home Office stating that the Home Secretary had decided to deprive her of her British citizenship. The 19-year-old left the UK at the age of 15 to join the Islamic State group. Now in a refugee camp in Syria, she's caused outrage by equating the terror attack at a Manchester concert to coalition bombings of IS areas in Syria.
Like the women and children in Baghuz that are being killed right now, unjustly, by the bombings. It's a two-way thing.
The Home Secretary, Sajid Javid, said the decision to take away her British citizenship was not taken lightly, but his priority is the safety and security of Britain and the people who live here.
It seems a bit of a knee-jerk reaction. The family are very, very surprised at that. I think we just seem to have lost sight of the, if you look at what was happening 15 years with a 15-year-old child, we now have a 19-year-old woman who is traumatised. She's been brainwashed.
British citizenship can be taken away as long as the person is not left stateless. The Home Office believes Shamima Begum is entitled to Bangladeshi citizenship. Her family say they're considering all legal avenues to challenge the Home Secretary's decision. Keith Doyle, BBC News.
Well, the UK is not the only country that jihadi brides would like to come back to. Just to put things into context for you, more than 41,000 international citizens are thought to have joined IS in Iraq and Syria between April 2013 and June 2018. And 13% of these people are women. 730 children are thought to have been born in Iraq or Syria to foreign mothers affiliated to Islamic State. Let's talk now to Dr. Joana Cook from the International Centre for the Study of Radicalisation and Political Violence and co-author of From Daesh to Diaspora, Tracing the Women and the Minors of Islamic State. So, Joana, this is something you've been looking into for a long time. But firstly, could you clarify for us what role these women have in Iraq and Syria?
Absolutely. So when me and my colleague Gina Vale looked at this issue, when we're looking at 13%, we still think this is a vast underestimation. So when we're talking about the number of women that went over there, this is only about half the countries that we assessed for that actually had data available. And when we look at the actual roles that they played over there, they are as diverse as the women that went. We saw them as, I don't like the term jihadi brides, but they were women that remained predominantly in the domestic sphere. However, because it was a state-building project as well, some of those roles in the public sphere that would be specific to women, women dealing with women in healthcare, women dealing with women in education, ones that had a bit of a gender segregation, we also saw women taking public roles like this. We also saw a smaller proportion doing security roles such as policing and even engaging in different activities.
What is fascinating is to see the public debate, though, particularly around Shamima and how she should be seen. She would like us almost to see her as a victim and to have some sympathy for her. But are some of these women perpetrators of violence?
The toughest thing about looking at these women is we have to realize the diversity of them. So while there is certainly elements of grooming that were associated with some of these cases, where some of them might be slightly more duped into going, we have to recognize that these women, a lot of these women had agency in their decision. They made an active choice to go over and support this organization, even if their role or their perceived role was not one to engage in violence.
And even if they're 15, she was only 15 at the time, she was a child.
She was a child, and these factors have to be accounted for, and this is why it's so important to look at each of these cases on an individual basis. Shamima is also only one of 145 women from the UK alone, and one of at least 4,700 women from around the world.
This huge number of women we're talking about, this presents a massive challenge to the countries that they're from if they do in fact wish to return home.
It is. We're really at a turning point here now. Islamic State they're losing their territory. They are no longer a territorial holding organization. What that means is that the group will evolve, and it is imperative that we are proactive in dealing with these individuals, that we are pragmatic about it. And by leaving them in Syria, this is not the way to manage it. They will not be able to achieve justice over there for the victims of ISIS. They will not be able to achieve prosecution in some cases. The chances of them being rehabilitated and potentially even reintegrated into society one day are not possible over there. We're looking at an intergenerational problem, and unless we are proactive and pragmatic about how we approach this now, this is going to be an intergenerational problem.
Dr. Cook, fascinating to talk to you. Thank you very much for joining us here on GMT. We will be returning to this issue later in the program as well. Good to have you with us.